Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be doing a Courage the Cowardly Dog set. As soon as I said that, the dog next door started barking. But there's going to be quite a few cuts, and that's because when I was recording this I was undecided if I wanted to actually post the whole thing. So at some points I would turn my camera off, and I wish I didn't do that because some things I'm like, I should have showed that. But if you do follow this and there's something I left out and you want to know what I did, ask me in the comments and I'll respond, but I'm pretty much going to explain in detail as much as I can. So I decided to do this as my last Halloween set because I've been enjoying doing some nail art in the last couple of sets that I've been doing. So I challenged myself to do a set where all 5 nails would be a character, and let me just say, first of all, never again. Well, I'll touch on that in a minute, and second of all, I figured I'd do this show because this show was a bit too creepy for Cartoon Network to be showing to kids. It low-key traumatized me. So when I was doing this set, I told myself, let me watch a few episodes. If you want to watch it, it's on Amazon Prime. But watching it back, I'm just like, yeah, this was definitely scary. This is not okay. The show is such a good show though. Like, the concept is good. Wrong audience that they're trying to target. The wildest part about it is that it'd come on in the evening when it was just dark. That's all I know, because I remember this show being on when it was dark out. And me and my little brother would be watching this like, what are we watching here? Let's turn this off and watch something else. But we never did. We would just continue watching and continue traumatizing ourselves. But I used a Micron pen to draw the outline of Courage. If you're someone that's not the best at nail art and maybe fine lines is something that you can't do very well, these Micron pens are a lifesaver. It also works really well if you are a better drawer than you are a painter. For me, I can paint way better than I draw. I cannot draw, like, at all. Sometimes my husband will draw something so that I can copy it, and I do it and it just looks a hot mess. But as far as when I paint, completely different story. It's so much easier to do. Hence why I painted the eyes instead of using the pen. I had tried it with the pen and it just wasn't working very well. So I ended up painting the eyes and then using the Micron pen to finish the rest. I'm gonna put the picture up that I copied so you have an idea of what I'm doing. But how I executed this part was just looking at the outline of the image and just copying that. Once I had the outline, I figured it would be easy to do the rest of the stuff. And that's just kind of the process I did this whole entire nail set. So to go back on why I said never again. So it's not necessarily never again. It's I'm not going to be doing this tomorrow, the day after that, next week, next month. Probably sometime late next year, maybe Halloween time next year, because I had to do a nail a day. I devoted like 2-3 hours each day to do these.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Today drained me.
And I can't imagine just sitting there in one go trying to do all of this. If you're someone that's a perfectionist, you will die doing this because you wipe away every single line that you think is crooked, and it will take you probably a lot longer than it should. Not gonna lie, it was really worth it though. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this and it looked like the actual characters. Once I did the outline of the body, I went in to do the nose and I added the eyebrows off camera. I also did the feet off camera because it was so tiny and it was just so hard to do whilst filming. I added his whiskers by mistake, not realizing that I have to fill it in before I do that. But what was great about doing this is that once I painted on his purplish pink color, I could see what I had painted, so I just followed that and it made it a lot quicker. Here I'm just filling in the bottom portion of his nose. I think this is some sort of shadow. I mean, I don't know, when I look at pictures of him, his nose is just two-tone. I don't know what that's about, but that's what I was doing there. So this is how the outline and features look. I painted his ears off of camera. To get his purplish pink coat, I mixed Nail Addict's Electric Rose and the Rosalind C045, I believe. And I keep saying purplish pink because I can't tell if he's pink or if he's purple. It's different in every photo. Sometimes he looks pink, sometimes he's purple, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say purplish pink. I should have said this earlier, but I wanted this whole set to glow. So the purple base I have down is also the Rosalind C045. When making his purplish pink color, my goodness, I hope I don't have to say that again. I had put down some of the C045 and I realized I shouldn't have done that because when he glows, he doesn't pop out as much because I use pretty much the same pigment as the base. You can somewhat make him out, but he isn't as vibrant as the other characters. Once I was done filling it in, I went in and added some of the detail. So I added what I think are the bags under his eyes because he's always stressed out and doesn't sleep. So I'm assuming that's why he has those. And then I added his whiskers back. Next, I filled in his eyes, and the white I used was a mixture of Nail Addict's White Addict, I believe. Well, let me say Nail Reserve, and a glow in the dark white that I have from a Savvyland glow in the dark polish kit. I would really recommend the glow in the dark Savvyland polish because sometimes I'd only mix a tiny amount into another polish I had to make the right shade of something, and it still glowed pretty bright. I drew his arms off camera because this was so impossible to do whilst filming because they're so tiny, but it's pretty much the same thing as the legs. Next, I decided to do Muriel. So I wanted to do Muriel and Eustace, but Eustace was so hard to do. I drew the outline of him twice, didn't like it, so I ended up just scrapping it because if the outline is off, the whole thing will be off. So I decided to do something else, which I'll show you at the end. I prefer what I did so much more anyway. I feel like Eustace is an op anyway. He was so mean to Courage, so we don't need him on the nail set. For Muriel, I pretty much did the same thing that I did with Courage. The only difference is that she has hair and clothes, so I just incorporated that into the outline. At first, I thought I gave her a little bit of a quagmire chin, so I ended up redrawing it, but watching it back now, it was somewhat similar to her actual chin in the photo, but I did redraw it and make it less quagmire-y. This is how her outline is looking. For me, she was the easiest to paint, and I think it's because she has a big face with very little detail. There isn't even any shading, which is great because it makes this so much easier to do. I would like to recreate this again in the future, but with shading, just to see how it looks. To mix the shade for her skin tone was almost impossible. I mixed like 4 different colors to be able to get her shade. In the end, I think I had mixed Beantown, a drop of Boston is Calling, maybe a little bit of black, and that wasn't giving me the right shade. And then I added some of that yellow beside it and it made the perfect shade for her. For her shirt, I thought I was going to have to mix up some colors for this, but I had a shade that was the exact same color as her shirt, and it was Glam Volcano by Madam Glam. And the colors I mentioned before that are also from Madam Glam. I'm starting to think they have the best polishes for nail art. Next, I painted her apron, and to get this yellow, I mixed Madam Glam Sundays with Rosalind's Glow in the Dark polish. I don't remember exactly the shade name, but I'll put it on the screen. Painting her facial features was the hardest part about her whole character. Trying to draw those tiny strokes for lines, impossible, so I had to take it off camera. This is the finished result. I had to do the other characters off camera because this was a task. It was pretty hard to do whilst filming, and I think I've said that like 4 different times, but this is the first time I've ever done multiple characters on a set. I usually just do one and keep it pushing. This is definitely a task if you want one. If you're ever bored, do this. I'm really happy with how these turned out, and I think they look really cool in the dark. But if you like this video, like, comment and subscribe, and thank you for watching.